Hi, and welcome to the LinkedIn Collective studio at the 71st Cannes Lions Festival of Creativity. I'm Andrea Campbell. I'm the Global Director of Measurement at LinkedIn Marketing Solutions, and we're here to discuss a topic that is really top of mind for marketers and advertisers right now. According to our B2B marketing benchmark report, 88% of CMOs say they are advocating for bolder creative campaigns, and more than 7 in 10 marketers say they have developed creative that stood out as bold or innovative. The great creative disruption and the B2B creative renaissance is underway, my friends. To discuss this, I'm joined in the studio today by Rich Atkinson-Toal, VP Global Brand and Marketing, AMEX Global Business Travel, and Andrea Glenn, CEO, Ledger Bennett, which was recently acquired by Havas. So thank you both for joining us.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you for having us.
Well, B2B creative and creativity is having a moment, so to speak. But this so-called B2B creative renaissance didn't just happen overnight. Nothing happens overnight. What factors, Rich, do you think led us to this point?
I think it's a combination of things. For me, I would say it's people, technology, and the competition. I think those in order. For people, as you talked about, a large amount of marketers now are looking to really stand out and be bold and different. And I think that's created energy within the industry to think differently and approach very similar business problems, but in very different ways. And that's been enabled by the growth in technology. And I don't just mean, AI helping to generate ideas, actually even simpler elements than that. B2B is now much more targetable on media landscape than it ever was before. Personas that are really critical to B2B are much more present in many media platforms. And so you can be much more interesting creatively as part of that because you can really hone in on human insight, human truth, and target those people. And then, of course, that all drives competition. So if there is this renaissance, if there is this growth of really progressive B2B brands thinking differently, then as a B2B brand, you want to join that and you want to do the same thing.
Yeah, and we've been seeing some really incredible work coming out of that combination that you mentioned. Yeah. And according to our B2B benchmark report, 88% of CMOs say they are advocating for bolder creative campaigns. And more than 7 in 10 marketers say they've developed creative that stood out as bold or innovative, right? We're saying that one more time because that's super important. And it's really great to see. But on the flip side, does it mean it is getting harder and harder to stand out as a brand in the B2B space? So Andrea, I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think it is. And I think there's some great examples of some great brands that have kind of been caught napping with new challenger brands coming out and being really bold, really brave in some of those more traditional B2B spaces. And it's exciting now to see some of those brands waking up and realizing that how important brand is. I think B2B traditionally has been a very sales-led category. It's now becoming far more marketing-led. And that's so exciting for us. I think in terms of the moment that we're having right now, I think my advice to B2B brands would be to really think about how you can articulate your values and your purpose. Because a younger buying audience in B2B is just as important to consider as a younger buying audience in B2C. And that younger buying audience, they get brands. They've grown up with brands and they know how to interrogate brands and they know when a brand is being authentic or not. And I think B2B buying is quite a challenging thing to do, and it's often not your day job. It's the thing that you need to do in order to make your day job actually be successful. And so making the right decision for your company shows how good you are as a professional and how well you understand your organization. So that value exchange and understanding that your purpose matches the partner's purpose is really important part of that emotional decision in decision making in B2B. So I think a lot of these things are driving creative. As you say, that those human moments are being driven by people really understanding what a brand really is, far more now than ever before.
I love that you bring up emotion because that's not something that you usually hear in the same sentence with B2B. Fantastic. Yes, sadly, indeed. Creativity, it's one of those things that's really hard to pinpoint, right? It's hard to measure, it's hard to quantify, and you guys, measurement is close to my heart. What sort of preparation, thinking, testing goes into a creative campaign execution? Rich, let's talk through the process behind AMEX Global Business Travel and their latest B2B campaign.
Yeah, I think for me, it is a shame that you don't often hear emotion, creativity in B2B as much as I would like. So I've got a breadth of experience in B2C and in B2B, and I think there's a real opportunity to take some core B2C principles and apply them into that B2B element. I think there is some big differences, especially around audience, and it's really, really critical to understand the multi-layers of audience before you do absolutely anything. And that briefing process, which sometimes is not as great as it could be between a client and an agency, is really, really important, even if that means you have to workshop it right from the beginning. Many decisions in B2B are long decision processes, and they involve complex buying groups of people. And as Andrea mentioned, a lot of those people that's not their day-to-day job. They do that alongside many other things. And so you've got to really have a really insight-driven approach to building activity. So for us, what we do is we try to identify what's really important to people and how that connects with various other elements of the buying group, and then create interesting human-based insights on that, and then use that in the way that we do our marketing. For us, we're a travel business, and just because that's business travel doesn't mean it has to be dull and unexciting and shaking hands over a desk with a briefcase in your hand. In reality, all of the principles that you apply when you book a business trip are very similar to those when you book a personal trip. You want to make sure that you have adequate time to get from A to B. You want to have a good hotel in a good location. You want to travel in an environment that feels safe and secure. And we can bring those types of stories to life for our clients and for our prospective clients. So for me, a lot of our campaign activity, we don't do a lot of peaking of activity. We do a relatively always-on stream of communications and advertising. It's really about insight, speaking to our clients, playing back those human truths in a way that is interesting, entertaining, and hopefully humorous. Not crazy and not slapstick, but actually brings to life some of those human truths of travel, and that's really critical for our strategy.
I heard the word human several times between both of you, and I think it's critical for marketers to truly understand that if it's your business decision maker, if it's a person buying a box of cereal, these are humans, right? So that human element, so important. And question for you both in terms of like the measurement of that creative effectiveness at the end of the day, those numbers that matter. How do you measure creative effectiveness? I'll start with you, Andrea.
So I think this is a hot topic for debate in B2B right now. And I've had conversations this week with people who describe some of those early stage indicators of creative effectiveness when things are launched as vanity metrics. And I think in B2B, we're so focused on the MQLs and the revenue and the closed won deals, which is obviously what we're aiming for, that drives us to consider just the short-term metrics and therefore short-term success. And when we talk about building brand and we talk about creativity in the way that we do that, we need to be able to think about the long term, the medium and the long term too. So some of those early stage indicators of creative effectiveness, we need to stop calling them vanity metrics and understand that whilst they are in isolation, they're an important part of the ability to measure creative effectiveness in B2B. So yeah, there's a little bit of maybe snobbery in B2B around some of those things. So I think when we look at the more traditional measures of success of marketing in the support of sales, I think now you think about marketing and brand and how that feeds through the entire customer life cycle, how that becomes part of the customer experience, which hopefully means that the customer stays with you for much, much longer because they bought into your purpose and your values in the very beginning. The sales moment is just one moment in that entire partnership and throughout the customer life cycle. So we really ultimately as B2B brands need to be measuring customer lifetime value. That's what we need to be focused on. Whether we can actually do that today is another matter, and it's complex in B2B, but that's what we should be aiming for.
Absolutely. And Rich, is there anything that you want to say about that?
I agree actually very wholeheartedly. I think for me, it's about making sure that you create work that works. And ultimately that can be in any way that you think is critical, whether that there is some activity that does deliver short-term revenue-based results, which is really, really important. But ultimately, especially at that brand layer, it's about either transforming your reputation, maintaining your reputation. There is many brands out there, especially in B2B, who have been market leaders for a long time, and they rest on their laurels, and they are quickly taken over by growing businesses. And so, it's really important, manage your reputation, think about the long-term results, and really make sure that you stand for what's important and what you believe in.
Great. What sort of future trends are we likely to see in the B2B creativity space? So this is us looking forward at this point. Rich, what new tactics or technologies are you looking to explore or experiment with going forward? I know there's a lot of talk about AI. Anything there?
Yeah, so I think a lot of the challenges that exist in B2C exist in B2B. And actually a lot of the trends and opportunities therefore do match as well. I think AI in particular has a huge opportunity to enhance the creative process through efficiency, through speed to market, through various other elements. But it doesn't replace the ideation for me. It enables ideation, it enables pace, but it doesn't take away humans speaking to humans, understanding insight, really building creative ideas. It actually just enables those teams to do their job more efficiently.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. So I know we could talk about this for a very long time. Like we can spend the whole day here, but unfortunately, that's all we have time for. Thank you, Rich. And thank you, Andrea, for being with us here today, sharing your perspectives, the human perspective. For more insights into the state of B2B marketing right now, check out the B2B Marketing Benchmark Report. Thank you.